Hello, this is CD. Welcome back to Truth Matters. Last time we met, we talked about Truth Matters basics, some of the fundamental things this program is all about, and certainly it's about the truth, and it is that not only that truth matters, but it matters in the sense that it is good, as opposed to bad. Truth matters is evangelical in the good old gospel sense that it is good news. Literally, the meaning of gospel is good news. The good news of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, yes, evangelically Christian, inherently so. I've got my New Orleans shirt on. I've had some good comments for the most part. The New Orleans shirt. When I think of New Orleans, the place where jazz emanated or started, I can't help but think that jazz, the blues, well, we know, of course, that gospel and the blues are first cousins. Was it Elvis who said the difference between the gospel and blues is one, it's baby, baby, and the other, it's Jesus, Jesus. Jazz has about it, as I think of the trumpets and when the saints go marching in New Orleans, jazz, you can't feel too bad, can you, when you think about jazz? What does that have to do with Lent and with deprivation, the 40 days prior to Easter in which we give things up and deprive? Fasting and feasting have a way of going together. That's just kind of part of what we humans do, how one is followed from the other. The 40 days leading up to the event that Christians celebrate as the resurrection. It's actually in the Quran, and there are other persons throughout history who have suggested that Jesus really didn't die on the cross. Well, let me reiterate what a friend says, that if there's one thing the Romans did really, really well, it was killing people. It was killing. They were great at building roads and what have you. They were good executioners. The Romans' crucifixion was, if there's a more horrible way to die, I'm not sure what it would look like. But with such a horrible and ignominious death, we must always remember that something happened. I won't get into the various descriptions of what type of resurrection it was. I will just refer one to 1 Corinthians chapter 15, arguably the most important chapter in the Bible, certainly in the New Testament. If Christ is not risen, your faith and mine is in vain, and we are of all people most to be pitied. As Shakespeare said, life is a tale told by a madman full of sound and fury, to be or not to be. And other philosophers have asked, maybe that's the major philosophical question, is life worth living or not? Well, 1 Corinthians chapter 15, talking about the resurrection, that is the focal point of the New Testament. We would not have a New Testament scripture were it not for the fact that something happened. What was it? I like to say that however one understands the resurrection, the New Testament makes it clear that it's a mystery. Jesus says, "Don't touch me. I haven't ascended to the Father yet." What does that mean? Well, It is sufficient for me, as Paul says in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, that over 500 people saw him. Doesn't sound like a mass hallucination or some sort of dream. Paul said, last of all, he appeared to me. How did he do it? What is germane and what really matters is the fact that he did appear. I could just hear Karl Barth saying the resurrection is God's prerogative. Something happened, something that was not of any human origin or agency. For lack of a better word, an event happened from which we get the entire New Testament scripture. Paul, John, the letters, and others. The crucifixion is horribly grisly, an awful death. But with that death, there is new life, not just in the pagan sense that life follows death and so on, but literally something happened in the person of Jesus Christ and in his resurrection that says something about us and our destiny, that Christ was the first fruits. If there's any better news than that, I don't know about you. I need to hear all of the good news that I can. And what better news could there be than that? Very often we will cynically conclude that, well, something that good can't be true. or if it's too good, it can't be true. Well, what if the best news imaginable really actually is true? My life is staked on it, and many other people throughout history is as well. How about you? Look forward to visiting again. Take care.